Hi, Gloria Lybecker here with Helene. I've been thinking about intentional play, especially when I think about a family that plays together, being able to be intentional about playing together. How do you go about inviting your family members to play with you? And what about staying in that play mode when somebody starts to tip over into fear or even to rage? Because when you're playing, things can really change quickly. I know when my son was younger that this was something that I was very intentional about, and I wanted to learn much more about it, especially in relationship with my spouse, for us to be able to play together as a family. So when my family was invited to get to go down to Portland, Oregon for a play workshop, I was thrilled. It was perfect timing for me. There was, the workshop was called Play After Play. And the organizer's name is Cree, and she was incredible. She worked with another couple, and they facilitated a whole experience for several families all at the same time. And the couple, they did what they called a play after play theater for everybody. And I remember the lady saying, the play will begin, and then the play will end. And that is the time for wild applause. And they were so much fun. They had just a few props, and they did folk songs, and after that part was over, then there was a play after play. It was playtime. So all of the families gathered together around the big blue mats where the play would happen. And each of the facilitators would invite a child to come out to have some playtime with them. And they got down on the floor with the kids, and they would mimic their movements, and they would roll, and they would flip, and they would tumble and sway. And they gave piggyback rides, and they just frolicked all around. It was just incredible to watch. And when they clapped twice, then it was another child's turn. So if we pause for a moment and we look at the research about mirror neurons and mimicry, the mirror system includes a mechanism that helps the brain to record the difference between seeing and acting. So research does reveal that there's some neurons that fire more during action, and there's others that fire more during observation. So these same cells are proposed to help us to distinguish between the self and others. So mimicry, it reflects social cues, and it helps humans to bond. So we're primed in one part of our brain to like those who mimic us. Research proposes that the mirror systems of two people can sync up neurologically. So in other words, brains resonate with each other as they interact, with one person's mirror system reflecting the changes in the other person's system. So no wonder original play models mimicry. There are social connection systems for autistic children that don't function neurotypically. However, the current research appears to reveal that autistic children's mirroring systems, they do function normally. So the hope is that holding a compassionate understanding of the mirror system will help to lead to a better understanding around the emotional difficulties they may have. And if the mirroring develops as we learn, then perhaps triggering that mirroring can teach and maximize what children already do have in place. And it's very likely that giving children the experience of being mirrored will help to support their social engagement system to become more functional, and for those kids that are on the spectrum. So as all of these families were sitting around the mats, Cree, she turned and she crouched on the mat, and she caught our son's eye. And with a smile, She invited him first with a tap of her hand on the mat, and then she held out an extended hand open, inviting him to come and play with her. I remember he hesitated for just a moment, and he caught my eye, and I smiled and nodded, and he just scampered out onto that mat with such fluid movements. He was like a big cheetah. And Cree, she crouched and she mimicked his every move. They made big, wide circles around each other, facing each other, and then Rylan sprang up into the air, and Cree sprang up to meet him, and they met mid-air. And she caught Rylan's body with an open arm, and she flipped him over her back, and then she caught with an open hand to cradle his head as he rolled back down onto the mat. I was fascinated with watching them. The play was so on. They were springing and rolling and tumbling, and they had so much resonant energy. When Rylan heard her clap 2 times, he scampered off of the mat. He came right into my arms. He had such bright eyes and a flushed face and a wide smile, and he whispered, "Do you think I'll get to do it again, Mom?" I was so delighted in his experience. So after every single child had gotten to have a turn, Cree motioned everyone to come in together in the circle and in the center of the mat. And then she reviewed with the kids, and she said, "Well, did Marc, Melanya, or Cree kick?" They're like, "No." And she's like, "No, kicking is not play." And then she asked, "Did Marc, Melanya, or Cree grab?" And again, "No, grabbing is not play." "Did Marc, Melanya, or Cree hurt or tickle anyone?" "No, hurting or tickling is not play." She reviewed with them. She said, "Play is when everyone is safe, taking care of each other. And if the play isn't safe, then it's okay to stop and say, that isn't play." So then she said, would you like to play some more?" And yes, there was great enthusiasm. So then they invited whole family groups to get to join in to the circle of play. And what I saw as I witnessed these other families, I saw that there were 3 skill sets that were all intertwined. There were emotions, there were the physical skills of how to handle yourself and how to keep people safe, and there was grace. So original play, man, it is a really incredible discipline. And nothing is random. There's the body, the shoulders, the fingers, the head. Everything is an art, as if doing Tai Chi. And original play only happens when we step outside of all the categories that we live in. Because we aren't categories. You know, facilitator, father, mother, sister, son. We're actually playmates. And so by paying really close attention to being a playmate, we become really present. And that naturally offers curiosity and attunement and resonance to one another. I know my husband, he has always enjoyed engaging with our son since he was just little. And so floor time together was a natural fit for them. And especially as Rylan got bigger and he wanted more push and pull play. So when our family was invited onto the mat, Rylan dove right into his dad with hard, forceful energy. But Richard didn't back up. Instead, he moved toward him and he embraced him with loving, open arms to roll and tumble on the mat. And Marc joined right in with them. For me, Cree and Melanya, they greeted me with smiles and giggles. And they rocked into my body and they gently pushed me into a big pile of fun. And I learned all about bumble hugs and safe touch and play, what's non-threatening. And the environment felt incredibly safe and warm. It was like being a little kid all over again. This experience gave our son a chance to step out of habitually being a fighter. And it gave my husband and myself a chance to step out of habitually leading the direction of all of our interactions. We got to experience intentionally mimicking and responding with love at any point. And there was no attack. There was instead a lot of play. Play where people didn't know they were different from each other, and there were lots of giggles, lots of attunement and resonance. Original play is about modeling a choice in the world. It's about giving and receiving love in your touch and with resonance with all of your being. The training really shortens the difference between experiencing pain and giving love. So we as a family truly did discover the magic of original play in community. Receiving the gift of experiencing the physical skills of how to handle ourselves and how to keep people safe in community with all different sizes and shapes of people. It was really an out-of-the-box experience. And it's opened me up to all kinds of spontaneous possibilities. So rather than shushing my child and trying to stay focused on my tasks, I've learned to recognize that any of his outbursts are actually a possibility for a creative connection that leads us to play. And that is transformation in itself. So to learn more about these spontaneous possibilities and what they might look like for you, I invite you to reach out to me at healingyoursanctuary.com. I'd love to chat with you. Thanks for being on the journey with me today. Healing you.